Hello and welcome to the first episode of What the Fahd, a podcast where I bring you raw, unfiltered career conversations with professionals in different industries to help you navigate your career. I'll get our guests to spill their career blueprints, revealing the surprising shortcuts and insider knowledge that can help you make the informed decisions on your professional life. Prepare for those WTF moments of clarity as you learn the real struggles behind successful careers. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to our incredible sponsor, TBC Create Homes, for lending their space to record this session. If you're looking to transform your home or workspace, please check out their details at the link below and tell them I've sent you. Now, with that, let me introduce you to my first guest of this podcast. This is a good friend of mine. I've seen him grow from the moment he stepped out into the private sector to where he is right now. So, Helmi has been in the security industry for the last 16 years in both the government sector and also the private sector. So he held various roles, and I'll let Helmi introduce himself and also walk through on his career. So Helmi, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Fahd, for inviting me over. I'll just give a brief, background about myself, and then you can probe further lah. So currently, I am a security professional in a consulting and investigative company based out of US. Before that, I was in Netflix for about 2 years, and then 4 years in Facebook, or Meta as it is known now. And before that it was Pinkerton, and then I first started my career as a police officer in the Singapore Police Force, and that was for about 10 years.
All right. So you were in the police force for 10 years. So this is interesting, and I think a lot of listeners would want to know, like, why do you make that jump? Because a lot of times once you are in the government sector, right, people say it's like an iron rice bowl, and it's much more secure just staying in that industry. What actually made you want to jump?
I think that's a very good question, right? I've left the police for about 7 years or so, and during my last 2 years of my time in the police, I was contemplating, right, is this something that I want to do for the rest of my life, or is there something else that I can do to kind of like challenge myself? The last 2 years was a bit difficult for me. I was going through some hard times in the police, and I feel that, hey, it's no longer a challenge for me, and I thought that this is a good time for me to venture out. And during that last 2 years, I took time to look out, what can I do, what's my strength, what's my weakness, and that's when I enrolled myself in the AFC football confederation to kind of like get myself certified as a football coach. That's one of the thing I did. Before,
Sorry, AFC is Asian Football
Confederation.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then I also took up additional diploma. So when I first joined the police, I was a diploma holder. I did engineering, manufacturing engineering. But then throughout my time in the police, I was also in the investigation branch, where I thought that, hey, this is something that I want to do for the longest time of my life, because I think investigation is a very unique and challenging environment. I like to test myself out there. Subsequently, I took up additional diploma in legal studies. And I
Sorry, is this while you're still in SPF or?
Yep.
Okay, still in SPF.
So before I left, so 2 years before I left, I wanted to prep myself. I want to get all the certifications, all the whatever is required for me to kind of like make sure that I have something to bounce back. So I have my football license. I had my additional diploma in legal studies, and I also took up a driving license, a class 4 driving license. So in case everything falls, I didn't make it, at least I can become a bus driver. So I think that's my game plan, right? Just go out there, jump up into the private sector and see what's out there for me.
Wow, that's really interesting, and especially this is really good for our listeners. What Helmi have done is, even before going out, he's preparing himself before venturing out to the private sector. So he went through to take a lot of courses, and then at the same time look at contingency plans as well. Because I think you, as you thought of leaving and a so-called like an iron rice bowl, right, to somewhere that there's a lot of uncertainties.
Yep.
So you decided, if I want to go this route, I make sure that I have contingency plans after contingency plan.
Yep.
And I think this is something good for our listeners to adopt. If this is something that you wanna move out from your comfort zone, to make sure that you have contingency plans in place in case anything can happen. And we'll walk through his career journey, because it's really interesting on his career journey, and you'll see the mentality and the mindset that he have really helped him pave through all of the challenges that he has faced through. Now, let's talk about your SPF career for a moment before you even step out. You were there for 10 years, right? You were saying?
That's right.
And you were, when you want to make that jump, right? Because you were saying that you are taking a lot of courses. Like, why investigation? Is it because somehow like you did a research that there is, there is a career out there in the private sector as an investigator, or is it just because your pure love of doing investigating work?
Yeah, I've been in the investigation branch for probably more than 5 years, or close to 5 years, and I love the nature of the job, because every day is a different day. You got to tackle issues that no member of public could see, and I love to challenge myself. There is a point of time where I did not go back home for 3 days, and after solving that case, I felt a sense of relief, a sense of satisfaction, and it drives me, right. The last 2 years before I left police, I was in the patrol. Okay, I was a ground response force officer, patrolling. That's when I started to contemplate, on my career, right. Is this something that I want to do in the next 5 years? Because it could be very mundane, right? Because you go out, you patrol, you do all the checks, you do this and that, attend to messages, but it's a day-to-day kind of thing that it's unlike investigation. So the reason why I took up that diploma in legal studies, because I like the application of the law, and subsequently I can walk you through about my time taking the degree as well, which is quite related to law. So and I like the application of law. It can be unique, right? Two cases can be of very similar nature, but when you look at it from the law perspective and how we apply it, I think it can generate a different outcome. And I feel that hey, this is something that I like, and I had a lot of satisfaction, doing investigation, especially it comes full loop from A, you get to arrest a person, and then until the end where you got to visit him in prison and stuff like that. So but I think during my time in the police, I've created a lot of impact, not just for the organization. I think for people on the other end as well. I've received a lot of compliments from accused persons, and I take pride in doing that. That shows that I'm committed, and professional in whatever I'm doing, and I still love doing investigation. If you ask me, in a split second, hey, Helmi, will you come back to do investigation? In a heartbeat, I would just go back. So yeah.
All right, so that's your passion in there, and you decided to pursue that passion even when you are going on to the private sector. Now this is going to be interesting. So when you left the force, can I ask what rank were you?
I was a staff sergeant.
So you were a staff sergeant. So when you jumped to your first private sector, right? You were saying that it was Pinkerton, am I correct?
Yep, that's right.
And just give me just a ballpark when you jump, and this is something that I think a lot of our listeners would want to know as well, because you were just a diploma holder back
Yep,
then, right?
Yep.
You jump to this company called Pinkerton, and was there a pay increase, or was there a, you know?
Yeah, I think there's a pull factor, right? Because coming back to what I think you mentioned earlier on, there's a lot of uncertainty, and back then I wasn't sure, if I want to make that jump, even if it's a 10-20% increase. The how it works is that, in Pinkerton we don't have, bonuses and stuff, so it's more like an annual pay, and then you got to work your way down and to see whether, it matches your current pay, or at least more than that. So when I was making that calculation, I thought that, hey, this is a good jump, because whatever I'm getting back then, I'm getting maybe 1.5 or 2 times more, thereabout. But
Two
you know,
times, which is 100% increase from the previous.
close to that. But you have to factor in all the uncertainties, no bonuses, nothing. And I thought that, hey, I don't have much passion in police at that point of time, doing patrolling, and I don't want to go back to investigation, because it's fun, but it's time consuming, it's physically draining, it's demanding, and I got married, I got kids, so I think that's the end of my time with the police. So there's a lot of consideration coming into that decision, and the good thing is that I negotiated to get a better pay, and alhamdulillah I got it. So I think that was the pull factor.
So is this like a contract work, or is it a full-time role?
Yep. I think due to confidentiality, I won't be
Okay.
sharing who my client is back then.
Of course, yeah.
But it's a big tech company, and that's when I got to make lots of other connections, and then jump into a bigger company as well.
All right. Now, so the reason why I'm asking this is because, like, a lot of our listeners, especially for those who are in the government sector who wants to jump out, right? There's a lot of saying, or a lot of feedback to say that you gotta have a degree to go into the private sector. Now, you are one of the, I wouldn't say the rare cases. I've heard about a lot of from the private sector from the government sector that jump to the private sector. Those who are a diploma holder back then, a JO, right? If you talk about uniform officers, junior officers, when they jump, usually they have like a pay cut, or if they get a degree, then they have a slight increment. And for your case, what you have done was, because of your intensive experience in investigation, you use that to your advantage, so that when you jump, then there's value in that, rather than when you jump to an industry where it's completely new, you don't have the cert, then obviously you're gonna have a pay cut. But because you use this experience wise to negotiate your way through, and that's the reason why you get the increase.
Surprisingly, the requirement for that role is a degree. So I thought, hey, I'm not going to get it. But when I first get the notification of me to go through for the interview, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? So I did a lot of
You can say
research.
whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
If there's any vulgarity, I'll just beep it out. So no worries with that.
So I did a lot of research.
Uh-huh.
How do I go for interviews? How do you answer behavioral questions? How do you negotiate for better pay? And all these things are things that I think right now we have Google, we have all these social media and stuff. So I did my research on my own, and I walked through the interview, and I think I did very well. My client who interviewed me at that point of time, when I spoke to him later on, and he was like, hey, you're one of the best that we interviewed. And I was like, hey, what did I did right? What could be better? and I use that as like an experience for me to inform other fellow officers that, hey, you need to be doing this because these are what future employees are looking for. And I took pride in that, and I'm happy that I managed to transition a few of them out of the government. And not just that, I think more than 20 or 30 officers then reach out to me and like, hey, can you help me out, what should I do? I've got interview for XX company and stuff, and I guide them through. And that's something that I love doing as well, because not just as a police officer, when I was in the force, I was a trainer, I was a mentor. And I love imparting knowledge, and which is why I took up the coaching course. I think if you recall me saying that earlier on, because I love doing all these things. And yeah.
All right, sounds great. Now, moving on to your next career. So you're there with Pinkerton. Then, how many years were you there before you jumped to your, if I'm not wrong, was it Facebook?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was there for about 10 months with Pinkerton.
10 months, and then you jumped to
Facebook. Yep.
Facebook. How did you land that role?
Wow. Okay. So
Is it through your connection, because now you're in the tech sector?
I think there's a combination of network, combination of the things that I do when I was in Pinkerton, and I think it's just pure luck. Company was going through restructuring as well, so I came in at the right time. And I was given the opportunity, even though that is a hard no for those without degree. So for me to get that job, you need to have a degree. It's a must. But somehow I got lucky, and I went through the interviews. The interviewers liked me, and I got in. I stayed for maybe 4 years or so.
All right. And walk me through, because you initially you were saying that you did a degree as well. Is it because of what happened with this Facebook interview that you require a degree, and then that made you realize that, hey, actually I need to have a degree if I want to move forward with my career?
Yeah.
So what was that turning point for you to get a degree?
So funny thing is, when I joined, I was probably the lowest educated person in the company, because when I look right, this guy has a bachelor's. When I look left, this guy has a master's. And then when I go across, this guy has a PhD. So I was like intimidated, right? And I feel like, hey, I need to up myself. I need to up this game. And I saved for a couple of years, probably 1 or 2 years, before I decided to take the next step of getting a degree. And the degree is kind of like related to my diploma, my last diploma. So I took a business degree in business law and criminology, and I think that helped me throughout the years, because what I do in Facebook, in Pinkerton, is kind of like related to what I did back then when I was in the police. It's all investigation, so it kind of like fall into place.
Okay. So you're there 4 years, right?
Yep.
Got your degree while you were in Facebook.
Yep.
Then what made you want to jump? Is it because now that you got a degree and you're in one of the top tech companies, right? That does that really help with your resume to to jump and make a bigger jump?
Yeah, I think it does. But at the same time, I continued doing my networking sessions with everyone. I get myself known out there. The industry is quite small in the region, so I kind of like know someone from this sector or this sector or this company, and it's just a casual conversation. And then a year later, it turned out to be an interview with Netflix, and I thought, hey, why not just give it a go and see where this land? And I never thought that Netflix could match whatever Facebook is paying, but I think it works well for me. And at that point of time, I thought, hey, just make a jump, and it's a new challenge for me anyway. So I love challenges. So yeah.
All right. Now, before we move on to Netflix, let's have a break for a while. Let Helmi drink up a little bit, and then we'll continue right after this.
All right.
Right, welcome back. So the last time we left off was Hilmi. Just do a quick recap. He was in SPF for 10 years, then he jumped to Pinkerton, and after 10 months in Pinkerton, he went to Facebook, and in Facebook, he upskilled and do a lot of networking. He got his degree, and for after 4 years, now he jumped to Netflix,
Yep.
right? And now let's talk about Netflix. What is it that you do in Netflix? Oh, sorry. Did we actually cover like what do you do in Facebook? Could you just quickly say what do you do in Facebook before we jump to Netflix?
Yeah, sure. Just high level investigation. Um,
So it's still the same. The same.
Yep.
Okay, that's good.
Yep.
So that's why they're still willing to pay him that much. So in Netflix, are you still doing investigation or completely different?
Partial investigation, partial, physical security, intelligence, and stuff like anything security. That's where or that's what I do in Netflix. Of course, we have a very lean team in Netflix. So everybody, kind of like help each other out in that area.
Okay, so it's a bigger portfolio than when you were in Facebook.
Yeah, and it's a different environment, different, I would say role. I would say role altogether. Not so much of investigation. So basically anything security.
Okay, then could you just walk us through that now because you have intensive background and experience in investigation. Now going to Netflix, now you're going outside of your comfort zone, right? Because this is
Yep.
more than investigation.
Yep.
So how does that make you feel when you're jumping to a bigger role? I presume this is a bigger role, right? Since it's more than
Yeah. So initially it was just covering a certain region, but there's a lot of restructuring happening in Netflix, and it comes to a point where I'm covering a global. My coverage is global, and then there's a lot of overlaps here and there, which is why I feel like, hey, this is outside of my comfort zone. Let's try.
Okay.
But I think it didn't work out well towards the end of it. So unfortunately, late 2023, due to company restructuring, I was let go.
Okay.
So
Oh, wow. Right.
so that's where I left with Netflix.
I see. So it was due to company restructure.
Yep,
And this is something for our listeners to know as well. While the tech sector is really challenging and really good to work for, and they pay really well. There's always lots of restructuring happening, and you could be performing the best, right? Just because of company restructure, and then they realize that no, we're shifting your position to another country, or or they just don't need that position anymore. So that's good for our listeners to know as well. While it is good for you to jump and going to a sector that is more a lot sought after, right? I think tech sector is a sought after sector that a lot of people would want to go, but at the same time, there's some risk element to it, and that walk me through when that happened. How did it like impact your life, and then what's the next step for you?
So before I was let go, I actually underwent a knee surgery. I tore my meniscus when I was playing soccer. So I was on hospitalization leave for about a month. So when I came back, it's just a normal, regular catch up with my then manager, and just about 3 minutes into the call, HR came into the picture, and I was like, oh my god, it is time. And I kind of like expected it for some reason, but I wasn't sad, I wasn't happy, but I kind of like felt relief, because it's a tiring job, physically, mentally draining, and but it took me half a day for me to kind of like, tell my wife about it, right? Because this is a big thing, and the initial thought was like, hey, it must be one of your jokes, for the day. And I was like, no, this is not joking. We need to start planning, what's next. And that's when the rest of it comes into play, right? Remember, I got my class 4, I got my coaching, I got this and that, and I'm not too sure if everybody knows this, but I'm also a certified asatiza with ARS. So and I can teach Quranic and stuff. So all that comes into place, and I'm like, okay, we need to start doing this, we need to start doing that, and it just happened.
Wow. So if I give you some surah, you can.
No, okay. Let me just be clear here. I am not an expert. Okay. There is a backstory to why I got myself certified as asatiza. So, just a very short story. Couple of years back, I thought that, hey, in my area there's no ustaz or whoever who can teach ngaji. So I volunteered myself to do ngaji in the area where I was living back then, and it was only then I know that it is an offense to do this, because you're not supposed to do ngaji session for anyone unless you're qualified. So I love teaching, and I thought, hey, let's do this, and I got myself qualified. I failed the first test, and then second time I went for it, I passed, and it was I don't know, but I mean, I know myself well, so I don't really go out there and say to people like, hey, I'm an ustaz, blah blah blah. I know myself too well, so but I use that as a certification for me to do things which I love, which is teaching. So that's.
So to all our listeners out there, if you have a kid who wants to learn how to ngaji, right? You can always contact me.
I'm not the best. I'm not the best.
I know, but you can at least contact me, and then I can, refer you to Helmi, right? Provided if he's free, because okay. So just going back to he got laid off for quite some time, right? You got laid off. How long were you?
13 months.
13 months. Wow. And when they laid you off, obviously they give you a good compensation package, or
I mean, the compensation is fair, and I think it tied me down for quite some time, and I don't think I've used that until recently, because I had savings. I think that's really important, and I kind of like use my savings to kind of like do the daily household operations and stuff to keep things going. So
right. I do wanna, because I know Helmi for 7 years, right? And we kind of close as well. So for those of you who not unaware, but it's a good learning for you guys as listeners. Hilmi rose up the rank like pretty quickly, right? Within 7 years, he rose up like really, really fast. And at any point of time, there was never a point where he thinks highly of himself, and I think what I really learned from him is he always lived beneath his means. Because you were we can talk about the compensation later on of this in this podcast, but he was really earning quite a fair bit, but still living like as though he was still a staff sergeant
Yep.
in SPF, and I was
Yep.
like, whoa, and that's the reason why when you got laid off for about 13 months, right? Doesn't impact him at all because he has always been living, beneath his means, and I think that's awesome that he he tends to think ahead of because of the volatile market. This is not an iron rice bowl, so he pre-planned all of this. So kudos to you, man.
Thanks, man.
All right, so within this 13 months, what do you do before you get into this new
The
job of
current
yours?
role, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did, ngaji. I did my coaching. I became a Grab driver for quite a bit. I became a delivery. But honestly, if I want, I could have just stayed home and just apply for jobs and stuff. But I feel obligated to bring something back, right? The first 6 months was me looking back at myself, saying that, hey, is there anything that I could have done better to beef up my credentials? So I went for a lot of networking events. I took up certifications like the Certified Fraud Examiner certification, private investigators license, I think issued by the Singapore Police Force, a few other certifications as well, CPR AED, because that is related to my coaching. And that first 6 months is just trying to beef up my credential. And it was only until later that I thought, hey, we need to do something more and to bring money, right? Finances. So that's why I'm like head on with coaching and doing all the other stuff lah. So yeah.
And after 13 months, do you have a new job right
Yes.
now?
So it was through a connection of mine as well. So
So I'm just gonna quickly interject here. So I think for listeners to know that it's really important for you to have connections, because throughout this conversation that we have ever since he got into Pinkerton, it's all through connections, networking. So it's really important when you're in this industry to really network people so that people know that you really can work, and that's where you get the job, right?
yeah.
So
Just to let you know, I am an introvert, so I don't really talk to people and stuff. But when I first joined the private sector, I saw the importance of having that network, the connections. So I even had to tell my wife, like, hey, if I'm meeting XX or whoever, please know that this is purely professional. We're not here to do some hanky-panky.
So just a quick one to all the wives out there, right? If your husband is going out for networking, he's really going out for networking because it helps in his career, like what you see with Helmi.
It's time consuming. It's really time consuming, draining as well.
My crews are laughing at this statement. So I just want to give a shout out to all of the men who are networking. We are doing it for our family, for the wives, right? Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I lost my train of thought there, but networking is important. So I think that's the bottom line.
All right. So before we end, I just want to quickly recap on the certs. So you started off as a diploma holder, and which poly were you in?
Nanyang Polytechnic.
So it was in Nanyang Polytechnic, and after Nanyang Polytechnic was in SPF for a good 10 years. He upskilled himself when he went into the private sector in Facebook, and you took a degree, right?
Yep.
A degree in
business law and criminology.
Okay, wow.
This
Are you a lawyer now?
No, I wish I could, but I don't like being one. And I'm not a qualified lawyer. It's just that the models is just more about business, contract law, land law, and family law, and all these things.
All right. So that is his in terms of his cert, and the skills that he have with his experience as IO and learning all of the different skill sets. to help boost his career. Now with that, right, if you are fine with just giving me like a ballpark figure, like at the height of your career, right? And the reason why I want to do this is especially for our listeners who wants to make the jump, right? It's not only from government sector to private sector. Even at the private sector, you're considering to switch career, right? Uh, is this is this the right is this risky enough? Is this worth the risk for you to make this jump? If this is something that you're passionate in, so I just want to know, like at the height of your career, doing investigation, doing security, could you just like give a ballpark figure? Like, what were you getting? You can give a range.
Yeah, I was thinking about this whether I should or should not, disclose. But let me just give you, uh, 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 how would I put this? An X amount, for example.
Yeah.
I was getting this amount in the police, right? And then when I make the jump, I was getting maybe 1.5 or 2 times more, right? Because that is more. So when I went into Facebook, I was getting more, and then I rose up the rank, and then I got more. When I joined Netflix, it was more.
Mm.
So if
How
you
many
make that
fold?
calculation,
How many fold
if-
more from when you were?
if you make that calculation, right, I think it's up to your imagination, right? Like
Yeah.
how much I'm getting. But again,
And I'm a pretty imaginative person, so
yeah. But again, money doesn't make you happy. Just what I learned. Throughout my time, I thought that money will make you happy. But when I reached that level, it's not really about money. It's really about you being happy. And at my peak, I wasn't happy. Not because I wasn't earning much, but I don't know. I just feel that mental health is more important. Having time with your family, your kids is more important than chasing money. I think money is important, but not
Yeah.
that important. So I just want to put it out there.
So I agree with you. At different times of your life, right? You have different goals. And it's the same for me. When you're younger, it's all about the money, right? Some people look at money as a driver to success. Some people look at the type of work that they are doing. Do they give them the satisfaction? Some people just want work-life balance. Some people would prefer to have positions like high authority positions to have a lot of people reporting to them.
Yep.
So people have different goals, and I agree with you. Some and your goals and your priorities change as you get older.
Yep.
So totally agree with you. But with that, I just want to ask. So you were a staff sergeant back then. At the height of career, can I say that do you meet at around an SO commissioner level pay around there?
Okay. I'm not sure how much commissioners are earning back in the police, but I think I at some point in time reached that stage. So I think you guys can make your own
Yeah.
search on that. But I think
So I can give you the number below. Right? But
Yeah.
it's up for you guys to
thereabout.
right? Okay. So and I think this is important. It's not about trying to be boastful about it, because I know Helmi. At the height of his career, he is so humble that you wouldn't even know that this guy was earning so much. But this is the thing that I really want our listeners to know and to make that informed decisions if you want to jump out of the force or you want to do a career switch. For someone like him who is just a staff sergeant, had he just stayed on, the maximum that he can go is an inspector, right? Because now once you got a degree, with the
For a normal
uniform-
average, officer, I think you can go to be an inspector or an ASP, at most DSP, throughout your time in police.
Yeah, and here's the thing, by him making that jump in a space of 7 years, right? He has reached to that certain pay scale. So it is possible. So at the end of the day, if money is a driver for you, jumping to the private sector, the sky is the limit for you, right? In the government sector, yes, Iron Rice Bowl is safe, but again, at the end of the day, it's what you want, right? You want work-life balance, because like what Helmi says, when he hit that height of his career, money wasn't important to him anymore, because he value work-life balance. He value time with the family, because and this is for what I think, for a normal family, a family of 3 or 4, as long as you hit 5 digit, 10K, it's more than enough. Anything that is above is, depending on your expenditure. But if you're living as per normal, like that's more than enough. So I agree with you on that. I just want to quickly touch on mental health. When you hit that height of your career, right? How stressful was it? How's the mental health at that level? So at least if someone was, and the reason why I want to ask this question is because I know for those young listeners out there, and especially I know when I was younger, it's like, it's all about the money, man. I don't mind to work hard. It's all about the money. But at least I want to give you that perspective, that when you reach that height of your career, how stressful it is. Is it worth it for you? And if it's worth it for you, great, go ahead with it. So I just want to give a balanced perspective so that you can make the informed decision at the end of the day. So
yeah, my take on this is that I think I've not reached that level where I'm depressed or I have suicidal thoughts or whatever it is. I think mentally I'm okay. It's just that when you've reached that level where it's no longer physically draining, it's mentally draining. I thought, hey, that's the a red flag, right? And you gotta see if you wanna push further or not. So mentally I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I think I've seen a lot of things that make me resilient. So so that's a good thing. Just that if it's affecting your family, affecting your work life balance, I think that's where you need to kind of like take a step back and relook at your decisions and to see what's best for the family. So yeah, that's what I did.
So before we end, I just want you to share any golden nuggets that you have for our listeners out there. Any advice?
So
focus on the camera and then just give your advice. What is it that you want to give advice to our listeners out there?
I think for me, like what Fahd has mentioned, the sky is the limit. You know your worth, you know your strength, you know your weakness. Work on those weakness and improve your strength. At the end of the day, I think you have yourself to prove, not to anybody. I feel that if you give your all, you will achieve whatever you want.
All right. What a great advice there from Helmi. Helmi, I really want to thank you for taking the time to speak to us and even being very open and honest when, at the height of your career, you got laid off, and you being the humble guy you are, you were like, at that level, you are so high level, you were like, it's okay, I got laid off. I can drive Grab and everything. So I think it's good for our listeners to know that, and your golden nuggets that really resonates well with me. Sky's the limit for our listeners. All you need to do is just try, and if you don't make an effort to take that step forward, you never know what's the limit for you. So Helmi, thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
your
having me
time.
here,
I really enjoy knowing you for the past 7 years. I learned so much from you.
Likewise, man.
And it's great to have you. And for listeners out there, thank you for your time. This is the first episode that we have for What the Fahd. Please, if you like the content, please like and share. Subscribe to my channel and give me comments. Give me give feedback on what you want to know. And the whole point is giving you that tool, that information for you to make the informed decisions for your career. So with that, thank you so much. Thanks,
All
Helmi.
right. Take
Right.
care.